You're listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and I've got a guest this week who, last week on the show, we had Nick Walker, bona fide theme park nerd. This week on the show, we're going to take it a different, let's call it a different direction. Joining me this week is my younger brother. If you tune into any of our TikTok lives, you may have seen him hop on as my co-host and somebody to bounce off of. He's got a little bit more of a personality than I do. He's a theme park fan. Wouldn't call him necessarily a theme park expert, but he wanted to come on the show this week, and I gave him the platform because that's what brothers do. He's got some interesting ideas of how he plans to, quote, air quotes here, save the Orlando theme parks. The Orlando theme parks, mind you, that are doing very well, printing money hand over fist, things like that. Anyway, I'm going to bring him in. We're going to talk about this further. But my younger brother, JT, returning to the podcast for the second time now. JT, welcome back.
We are starting the MAGA movement, the MOGA, Make Orlando Great Again.
Oh, God. Why are we doing this? Oh, jeez. All right, JT, let's talk a little bit real quick about your history with the Orlando theme parks. I know you're a huge fan of Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. Actually, you're not. You're a huge enemy of that ride because it broke your phone because you don't know how to read the put your loose articles in lockers sign. But, tell me what you like about the Orlando theme parks.
So obviously grew up going to most of the Orlando theme parks. Most kids went to the beach when they were younger, or the mountains or islands, whereas we ended up at theme parks for our family vacations. So very familiar with them. Big part of my childhood growing up. However, I remember we took a brother's trip, what was it, 2 years now?
Yep.
When did we go to Universal Studios last?
2 years ago.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Winter of 23.
Yeah, we had the discussion about how stale, I'm going to use the word stale, that it felt.
Okay.
And so then, during the holidays last week, I went on a bit of a tangent that was sponsored by Holiday Beverages. And, now I have, a full page of notes on my phone. That's...
there are 35...
Nice to scroll through.
There are 35 bullet points you sent me.
And we are going to make me the overlord of Orlando, and I'm going to revolutionize theme parks. This is where the campaign starts. And,
Okay. Well, we will go ahead and we're going to throw a disclaimer here because this is, we're having fun with this. We're letting JT cook a little bit. So if you're easily offended and you're like, oh, Disney, you can't touch this at Disney. You can't touch this at Universal. We're just having fun. Okay. It's a podcast.
We're just riffing.
We're just riffing. And listen, JT doesn't write anything down. The fact that he sent me 35 bullet points on a notes app. I didn't realize you could even share notes app notes on phones, but he had 35 individual bullet points. I'm going to, we'll read through these. He's going to explain them. I'm going to blow holes in his argument throughout the way. But we have, JT's got some, again, what I'm going to call outlandish ideas. Some might work, some might not work. But we're just here having fun. If you're easily offended, maybe this isn't the episode for you. But if you're easily offended and you're listening to this podcast, why? Anyway, so JT's notes, which he refers to as John Saves Theme Parks, that is what the J and JT stands for, is John, starts with Universal. And what his first bullet point here says is sell the full Marvel rights to Disney. I don't think because Disney owns Marvel, I think they would just give up their
Both
Marvel
theme
theme.
park rights in America, give Marvel to Disney and just let both properties have their own thing, and we'll get to where Universal falls into that.
Yeah, so at Universal, obviously you've got Marvel Superhero Island, you've got the Incredible Hulk coaster, you've got Stormforce Accelatron, you've got the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, and you've got Doctor Doom's Fearfall. All of those attractions, you've got some assorted shops and decor and things like that as well. So those are gone. I mean, not necessarily going over to Disney, but they're at this point they're gone from Universal. And JT, your second bullet point I feel like is the hinting at of a replacement for Marvel Superhero Island. And
Yeah.
your second,
So essentially, you're allowing Disney World, right?
yes,
Probably one of the most traveled to destinations in the entire world.
yes,
You are allowing them to have full run on the Avengers campus that they have in California. You
okay,
are just you are essentially creating more realism around the entities that are in the parks currently. So you're seeing little flashes of this with um, the
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Guardians of the Galaxy. Thank you. You're seeing that now with Epcot, right?
yes,
But you have no like. It almost feels out of place because there's nothing surrounding it, and you know that the big thing that I've always talked about when I go to theme parks is the immersion, right? The
yeah,
theming,
mm-hmm.
the stuff that you have around. So now you look at both theme parks, okay? And you have this idea of Marvel because Marvel, since the MCU was created, has burst into this like people who are not fan of comic book characters anymore are now clamoring to be Marvel fans, right? You have this constant growth of the MCU, yet when you go to both theme parks, they're both guilty of it, right? Superhero Island, when the characters come out, it makes you feel like you're at a very cheap performance of something because they don't have the licenses. But then you go to Disney, who has technically the Marvel license, right? And now
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any character meet and greets over there, which is a big thing that Disney's placated on.
Yeah, and I mean they do. They've got. I think Peter Quill kind of walks around in the. Is that the guy's name? Peter Quill from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Star Lord.
so, yeah. Star Lord like walks around in the queue and things like that. But yeah, you don't really. You're not meeting Groot at Walt Disney World, and you're not meeting a facsimile of Batista's character.
Right. Like you're essentially like Peter Quill. And again, if you're offended by my opinion on Peter Quill compared to the other characters in the MCU, you don't go to a Bucks game hoping to meet Thanasis Antetokounmpo, right? You go like you want to see like Giannis, you want to see Chris Middleton, like those types of things. And right now, neither park can display those top of the line characters, whereas it's more of like a character that you would see on like a street of New York City, you know, begging for change and stuff like that. So the thought process there is that Universal should sell the theme park rights to Marvel to Disney for a large chunk of change.
Would they be able to sell these rights because Disney technically owns the property, or what are you insinuating here? Wouldn't they just give?
There has to be some form of return on the 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 licensing. There has to be some form of compensation
It's like
for them.
we'll
Otherwise, it would have been done already.
true.
The
I think
mouse has a very strong arm,
they
right?
do absolutely,
And
but
but
the mouse also knows that at this point somebody else is marketing their characters for them, who is a competitor of theirs, and I think that's why they're okay with it. It's like if you want Spider-Man, sure, we don't have him here at Disney World, but if you want to buy Spider-Man merch, which I'm sure, Disney licenses to whoever produces the merch and then takes a cut of the merch that's sold at Universal. I'm sure there's a back way of thinking about this, but what about the replacement then? If you're getting rid of the Marvel at Universal, giving it all to Disney, what are you replacing it with?
And this is where it comes into play. So you essentially you essentially give the rights of Marvel to Disney, and you're right, it creates a hole. So what do you replace that land in Islands of Adventure? What do you replace that with? And the answer is you take the compensation that you get from Disney, the large chunk of change that you get from Disney, and you purchase the Warner Brothers rights from Six Flags Cedar Fair.
Okay. So
Um,
all Six
you
Flags now, just so you're aware, but you know
yeah,
this.
yeah. So, got to give a shout out to your homeland,
Of course. Killing it.
your home park, your home field.
So you're talking just the DC Comics, and you say Warner Brothers, but like all of Warner Brothers and Universal Studios, dating back to like film studio days, they are huge rivals. Are you sure like this is just the like do you want the US theme park rights, or what are you looking for here?
The theme park rights to your okay. So with the addition, the idea that I'm coming off right now is with the addition of Epic Universe down in Orlando, right? Universal Studios now has a has a third park to basically promote their entities that they have done over the last couple years. So a big part of the original Universal Studios theme park, right, was
Mm-hmm.
placated around the original movie Monsters,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was placated around Jaws, which no longer exists. Is placated around E.T., which currently still exists, and was placated around Kong and Kongfrontation, which no longer exists. Okay,
Okay.
so the part you're essentially trying to come to a table to see how do we mutually benefit from this. So the idea would be to strike a deal with Warner Brothers. Has nothing to do with the movie production studios. Those are still two separate entities. However, you're starting to give Warner Brothers their own theme park, which they currently, other than Six Flags parks, do not have
In the US.
in the US. Right. There's
Yeah.
obviously one in Australia, there's one in Dubai. However, theme park culture, correct me if I'm wrong, but theme park culture is heavily driven by US
I would
properties.
I would say US, probably 1A and 1B with China, but go on.
Right. So essentially, you're taking, and this goes to my third bullet, right? As soon as Epic Universe opens, you're shutting down original Universal Studios.
Just closing it. Closing it complete.
Well, you're closing it for a full refurb. I mean,
Okay.
you're refurbing everything.
So you're basically you're taking Universal from two dry parks to or from three dry parks back down to two very quickly.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Now, I understand that that would be, you're talking about, we're not talking dollars and cents specifically right now. Yes, you would lose money in the grand scheme of things. 100%. Right?
That's exactly what shareholders want to hear. But
I
continue.
understand that. And you know what? This is why I'm not in charge.
You
Right?
just have ideas, and somebody gave you a podcast platform to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. This was your mistake,
Yeah.
not mine.
Yeah,
You're the one
fair.
making the shareholders mad, not me.
That's a good point.
So
So
essentially, yeah, you essentially close Universal Studios for a year,
okay.
and you get to work. I mean, just put all of your eggs into this refurb. Into Let's be honest, Universal Studios is not hurting for money.
Okay.
Okay, like they're doing just fine on ticket prices. They're going to charge an arm and a leg for Epic Universe, so on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So First things I'm doing when I'm closing Universal, okay? Fast and Furious, gone. Out of here. Jimmy
I
Fallon, gone. Out of here. Rip Ride Rocket, gone. Bye bye. Out of here.
They already announced that. Did you know that?
I did know that, and you told me what the replacement would be, and this is where this discussion kicked off. Okay?
Okay.
So,
What the rumored replacement would be, because there's no real actual concrete
right,
evidence right now.
right. Now, here's the controversial one. I'm closing the Mummy.
Okay.
I'm axing it, getting rid of it. I love
Okay.
it. Don't get me wrong. It is a personal, nostalgic favorite of mine, but I'm kicking it out.
Okay. So you've got
I'm
this entire back corner of the park
uh-huh.
gone, gutted right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Because, and we're furthering this, because everyone's next question is going to be, well, what about Minions? They're putting a lot of effort into the Minion stuff right now.
Yeah.
You're closing the Simpsons land as well. And you
Okay.
are extending DreamWorks land and making the Minions everything where the Simpsons ride is. Right? You're doing the flat rides Minions, you're doing the shops Minions, you're doing the Simpsons ride Minions, and then you're allowing that animal theater behind the Simpsons ride. You're turning
Yep.
that into Universal Studios version of Fantasia with
Fanta-
DreamWorks.
you mean Phantasmic?
Fantasmic. Whatever.
Is that theater probably is not big enough, but continue.
There's space. There's a lot of space behind there. I Google Earth this.
Okay.
All right.
My question for you is, like, they've got the existing Minions, they've got the Minions 3D, they've got the Villain Blast, all right there. What are you going to do with, like, that one street where, like, Bourne Stuntacular is? Are you going to connect that? You're going to get rid of Bourne? What are you doing?
We're getting in. We're getting there slowly but surely. Okay.
Okay.
You are getting rid of Bourne Stuntacular.
You are or not?
You are.
Well, that's a
We're getting
mistake.
rid of. Yeah. Wait for it. Because you have to remember something very, very important. And I'm going to Google this really fast. Right?
So you've decided to take out the Bourne Stuntacular. So there's, like, listeners who are listening to this in their car right now who have just swerved off the road in anger, and they're like, "I want to fight Andrew's brother."
No. Come on. They don't want to fight me.
They might.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and you probably will.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm here for.
isn't John Wick a Warner Brothers property?
I don't know. John Wick.
So Warner
Lions.
Brothers.
It's Lionsgate, which is owned by, I believe, Disney. Actually.
Bummer. Anyway, but you still have options with, like, you can replace the Bourne Stuntacular with a Mad Max themed show,
Okay.
like a very, like, apocalyptic theater like show, and really kind of combine the elements of the Stuntacular with Terminator and those types of things. Like, you can as much as, like, you don't need to replace the Stuntacular, because the Stuntacular might be the greatest theme park show of all time.
Yeah.
You can do something that's better than the Stuntacular. The
Okay.
world is always improving. You can always improve on something because
Okay.
nothing's perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So now you have a big gaping hole in your theme park, and I bet you're asking, what do you do? What do you do with this big gaping hole, right? Obviously, Warner Brothers allows you to now include Looney Tunes. It
Yes.
now allows you to include Willy Wonka. It now allows you to include Dune. It allows you to include Barbie. And it allows you to include the new revamped Godzilla movies.
Okay. You got a lot of ideas here.
That's what I'm saying. So What was the thing that we always talked about as kids, right?
That,
In the Gene Wilder Wonka movie.
I mean, you want a Chocolate River ride.
You want the ride through the candy factory.
Yes.
You want to experience the immersion that Gene Wilder produced to you in Willy Wonka's Candy Factory. And you capitalize on the fact that what's that actor's name? I always because you're
Timothy
not
Timothy
you're not
Chalamet,
giving it to Chalamet. You are not giving it to Chalamet.
Eddie Redmayne.
No. You're capitalizing on the fact that Jeremy Allen White from The Bear looks
Okay.
exactly like Gene Wilder.
We are quickly going off the rails here.
No, we're not. Google it.
I mean, I believe it. It's a thing, but you're just making a lot of assumptions right now.
What do you mean? I'm
Like-
assuming that Jeremy Allen White looks like Gene Wilder? No, he definitely looks like Gene Wilder.
Well, he does, but like, what does that have to do with Willy Wonka? Are you going OG Willy Wonka and you just having somebody else play Gene Wilder?
Yeah, because didn't Gene Wilder pass away?
Well, yeah, I guess.
So you can't have him part of the theming.
But why are you going to go with the OG Wonka as opposed to the new Chalamet Wonka?
Did you see the new Chalamet Wonka?
No.
That's why. It's not good.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, wouldn't I personally think they would want to promote their newest properties, but go on.
No, guess what? This is not a they. This is a me. This is John saves theme parks, not theme park saves theme parks. Right?
All right, fair enough. Okay.
Nobody's voting me into this spot. I'm just riffing right now, man.
Yeah,
But
understand.
you do a Willy Wonka candy factory. You combine the spaces where Fast and Furious is now, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think the Mummy changes to a Dune property.
Okay.
So I think you can do some sort of Dune roller coaster,
Sure.
kind of roller coaster hybrid. You know, that would be something. That would be something that a lot of people talk about.
You still got to get over the hurdle of getting Universal and Warner Brothers to work together. And I know it's been done. Obviously, Harry Potter was a Warner Brothers property, and they bought the American theme park rights, or all of the theme park rights, to Harry Potter.
Oh, so you just proved that it's possible after shooting holes in it. Wow, I knew you'd get there eventually.
Anyway, all right.
And look how successful that's been for both of them.
Well, yeah, for sure.
All right.
Okay.
So now, here's another controversial one. Okay.
Okay.
Rip, Ride, Rocket now becomes the Barbie coaster.
Okay. But they're tearing that out completely. That's gone. Just take.
Right, but you're gonna put something in its place. You're not just gonna leave a gaping hole at the beginning of the park, because then there's nothing there.
It's true. It's
right?
a good point.
You have to put something there.
Yeah.
And like, you can build a brand new roller coaster right there, because that's one thing that Universal Studios, it is a family park, mind you, right? But there is a big issue with the lack of roller coasters at a theme park as big as Universal Studios.
Okay. And, well, I mean, you say there's a lack of coasters, but you've also killed two of the coasters. You've gotten rid of Rocket, you've gotten rid of Mummy.
Right, but I replaced both of them.
Okay.
I added a Barbie component. So let's retract. We're doing a lap around the park really fast, right?
Yep.
So Minions Land is being replaced by like Looney Tunes type stuff, right? Take it back to the old school days of Jimmy Neutron, Shrek, that type of thing. Okay, all Looney Tunes based, right? Moving forward, you take that New York facade, turn it into a Barbie's Dream House area. Okay. So now you're going to turn the corner. Okay. Because we haven't talked about a very important piece.
What's
And
that?
everyone's going to think that I'm missing it. But we're getting there.
The Today Show Cafe with Al Roker's avocado toast?
Nope. All right. So turn the corner. Okay. Now we're moving towards the Mummy. Right.
Okay. Yep.
And so now you're talking about making the Mummy either a Willy Wonka's, because it plays off that kids theming.
You said it was Dune.
There's options, right? I'm not set on anything. Okay. So that you do a Dune type thing, or you do a Willy Wonka type thing, and you make that area kind of like your kid zone, adult zone nostalgia spot, right?
Okay.
You can throw something like, you could probably cut a deal with like a Hasbro or something along those lines, because there's that relationship already there.
You know that there is a Mattel Adventure Park that's opening in Arizona and also in Overland Park, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City.
I didn't know that, but that's sick.
Tell me you don't listen to the podcast without telling me you don't listen to the podcast.
I don't listen to your podcast all the time. I
apologize. Hey, if anybody is listening, go back a couple episodes in the archive, and we had a really good conversation with Cindy Emmerich, who is the VP of Attraction Design for Mattel Adventure Park. So, got to throw my own plugs in there when I can, JT.
Shout out Cindy. But anyway, all right. So now we're making the turn. You're going towards where the Mummy is now a Willy Wonka themed attraction.
Okay.
Or Dune, whichever one you want to go with, whichever one is the favorite of most, right? What's the one thing we're missing? It's the one. What's the one right there in the smack dab in the middle?
Transformers.
This is my favorite one. This is the one that's going to hit a lot of nostalgia, but it's also kind of an out there left field play, right? I have 3 options for the Transformers redo, right?
So you're getting rid of all these rides.
Oh, we're cooking. We are cooking the old school Universal Studios and bringing it full to speed. We're knocking all the dust off of everything.
I love how old school is considered like 2008 when this ride opened.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's 3 options that come to mind when it comes to fixing Transformers, right? One's a little niche, and I don't really like that one. We're going to get rid of it before I even say it out loud. All right? You got 2 options. You're going to go...
You just killed one of your own options and didn't even tell us about it.
You're right. This is how my brain works, okay? That option was going to be like a Watchmen, like a DC Watchmen type ride.
Yeah, really relevant property
or
that nobody has forgotten already.
Excuse you. So 2 options, right? You take the huge nostalgia play, you save costs on the refurb, right?
Yeah.
By bringing back one of the most beloved characters of all time, the Iron Giant. And you call it the Return of the Iron Giant. Because they already have the robot costumes. They have the Megatron costume. They have the Optimus Prime costume. You create a Iron Giant ride. Return of the Iron Giant. Or you go a little left field with a Warner Brothers property and you do a Ready Player One ride. Ready Player One was a movie that came out in 2018 that was essentially capitalizing on the release of VR type video games. So you do this headset ride, right? You're thrown into the world of video games. Warner Brothers did a deal with Microsoft to get Master Chief in that game. The Iron Giant's in that movie, by the way. So you're basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Either way, you get the Iron Giant back, which is kind of sick.
The Iron Giant, this is a 1999 film that I had not thought about. I don't think ever. I wouldn't even say, are you going to get Vin Diesel to reprise his role as the Iron Giant?
Absolutely, you are. The Iron Giant is the most slept on animation character of all time.
Anyway, this is... So we've replaced Transformers. We've gutted Fast and the Furious is out of there, which is Fast and the
We're
Furious.
not too Fast and Furious yet.
Yeah,
We're doing the lap. We're not too
yeah,
Fast and Furious yet. So
you've
Fast and Furious is in the San Francisco section of Universal Studios,
okay.
right? Which includes Fast and Furious.
Yep, and Richter's Burger Company.
That's it.
Pretty
That's it.
much.
Right? So we're dipping into Islands of Adventure a little bit, and we're bringing Kong over to old Universal Studios. We are creating the Monsterverse where San Francisco is,
Okay.
including a little less important piece, but you are building a Harry Potter dragon style animatronic in the lake at Universal Studios, and you're putting Godzilla spikes that go across the water like every hour and a half. So it's like Godzilla swimming in the lake in Universal.
Okay, so you're gonna have Godzilla and Kong and who else in this attraction?
Like Mothra, like it's essentially like a MonsterVerse attraction, like capitalizing on the fact that Warner Brothers has basically revamped like Kong Skull Island, which by the way is in a Universal theme park and it already exists. Like they went to the Jack Black Kong and not the new Kong Skull Island Kong, but still Warner Brothers property with the MonsterVerse now. So you're doing like the you're doing like Mothra, Godzilla, Kong, just like a big MonsterVerse attraction.
Okay.
And you're replacing all of San Francisco with this.
Do you think this would directly compete with the new Epic Universe attraction Monsters Unchained and the Dark Universe portal?
No, because it's a completely different franchise. You're talking about old school horror movie monsters like Dracula, Wolfman, the
Frankenstein, yeah.
Frankenstein, that type of thing. This new Monsterverse that they've created is like the I can't think of the word for it, but it's like it's kind of like the kaiju type thing, like the old school like
okay,
mega monsters, the ones that like tear through cities and stuff like that, not like your horror movie themes.
Okay, totally different, but got it. Okay.
All
okay,
right,
so you got a monster attraction where Fast and Furious is. Keep going in a clockwise manner. This takes you to Harry Potter and Diagon Alley, I believe, is the.
You're getting rid of all that. I'm kidding. You're not getting rid. You're not touching Diagon Alley. You don't touch it.
Okay.
You absolutely you keep it the way it is. You know, maybe there's a lot. The one problem that I have with Diagon Alley is there's a lot of dead space in Diagon Alley, and granted, it's for like
that's by
go
design.
Around and it's what.
That's by design to look to
know,
mimic the film. Come on, Harry Potter nerd guy.
No, but I'm just saying, like you could add in like more like shops type deal.
Sure,
like you could probably add another restaurant in Diagon Alley, and because there's that like when you walk into Diagon Alley, you kind of like go around that corner, and it's like for people with wands to go around and have the interaction type stuff. You could have something over there. There's literally nothing over there that's you can interact with. Okay. So now we're gonna keep going in a clockwise manner, right?
Clockwise.
So now we are to the old. You are to the old Fear Factor area.
Yes.
Okay. Bulldoze it. We're getting rid of it. We're connecting Diagon Alley to Men in Black. Okay. Reason being is we are going to retheme Men in Black completely to
wrong.
a Fantastic Beasts attraction.
Nobody likes Fantastic Beasts. Nobody.
Excuse you?
Nobody likes the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Nobody.
Excuse you. I actually watched it this past weekend, and it was delightful. Yeah, the third one was a little disappointing. But a Niffler? The big feather tiger thing?
You're just making up
I think it's a Zowu or something. My pronunciation's terrible, but yeah, you're doing a Fantastic Beasts area, which is not capitalized on at all in any of the theme parks.
Epic Universe is having some Fantastic Beasts stuff.
Yeah, but like not a full-on attraction with like Nifflers and Puffskeins and the the Zoo guy and the big rhinoceros that like tried
Okay.
to, you know,
Anyway, continue.
yeah, like you're doing like you have to round up the fantastic beasts and like you get it's the same type of attraction, but you get points for essentially taking a wand and rounding up fantastic beasts through spells and things like that. Same concept as Men in Black. Still a points thing. You still get to beat me 98% of the time because you know all the tips and tricks. It's just different because Men in Black's played out and they're not making any more movies.
Wrong, but
And I know
continue.
you disagree with me on that, but it's played out.
Well, it's a timeless attraction. But
well,
anyway,
Tommy Lee Jones isn't going to live forever, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to do something with it at some point.
All right, fine. So, okay, we've come around then. Men in Black, you're now at the Simpsons area of the park, which
is completely turned into your DreamWorks section of the Universal Warner Brothers property.
Okay. Yes. And so are you expanding or like changing pathways so like the existing DreamWorks land that they've just opened with Shrek's Swamp and the Troller Coaster and
you're using all that land that's behind the Simpsons ride and you're making just a giant addition where you can put in a couple more attractions.
Okay.
Obviously you don't touch franchises like How to Train Your Dragon because that's going to be a big part of
Epic Universe.
Yeah, of Epic Universe. But like there's so many things they like in DreamWorks land right now. They haven't touched Madagascar. They haven't touched like Boss Baby. They haven't touched the Penguins of Madagascar.
Which is Madagascar, but continue.
But the Penguins got their own franchise. They haven't touched Megamind or Monsters vs. Aliens.
Okay, so point being, there are a lot of B tier DreamWorks animation films they could adapt here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because a ton of people saw Boss Baby.
It was very popular.
Okay.
I'm just saying there's franchises that they haven't touched that they can touch in terms of character meet and greets, restaurants. Like I would be way more apt to eat at a Shrek Swamp with Donkey's Waffles than I am to go to Moe's Tavern.
That's fair.
To be perfectly honest with you.
Disney owns The Simpsons now. So are you giving them Marvel and The Simpsons for their theme parks?
I don't really think you need Simpsons in a theme park other than like a character meet and greet. You shouldn't have one of your major attractions be The Simpsons. The Simpsons is fine. But like, does it deserve a full land in one of the biggest theme parks in the world? No, it doesn't.
Okay. All right. So that's out of there. And we've come back around to the kind of that central location where you're going to put a John Wick stunt show or something.
Well, this is where the split comes in because you could essentially with whatever you don't do, like if you do the Willy Wonka river, the candy factory thing over in the corner, you could essentially turn the Stuntacular into a Dune style show.
Okay.
Or a Mad Max style show. Like you could do a lot with that, like lot of choreography and things like that.
So basically what you're doing is you're getting rid of all of the only thing I don't think you've touched right now is E.T. And does that have to stay around because Steven Spielberg says so? The answer is yes.
Yes. We wait for him. We wait for him to dwindle, and then we strike E.T., but we're not touching it for now because I'm not pissing off Mr. Steve. not making him angry.
All right. Okay.
Or you move it to Islands of Adventure.
Okay.
And you revamp it.
Okay. Aye. Anyway, so you've basically taken all of the Universal properties out of Universal Studios Florida. Do you understand the madness, and I know this is why you're doing it and not why theme parks are doing it, but do you understand why?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't make sense so far?
No, I absolutely do.
Okay,
But
cool.
nothing makes sense in my brain. You know this.
This is a good point. All right, well, let's go over to Islands of Adventure, where you no longer have Marvel Superhero Island.
You
So,
now have Gotham City.
okay. Do you think they're going to be able to do this better than the Gotham City that has been at every Six Flags park in America for the last 20 plus years?
150% yes.
Okay.
The production quality and the production budget, and this is not a knock on Six Flags by any stretch of the imagination, okay? But the set design, project development, makeup department, all of that stuff, that budget at Universal Studios will always eclipse the Six Flags budget.
Fair enough. All right.
And so immediately, Cinnabon, not touching it. Cinnabon can stay. We love
Okay.
Cinnabon.
We do.
Okay. The Hulk is now Batman. That is your Batman roller coaster.
Are you calling it Batman the Ride, or are you giving it some like an amazing? Because again, you're like after Six Flags sells the DC rights to Universal, they're going to have to retheme all their coasters that have been Batman the Ride for, again, 20 plus years at this point.
Correct, but look at what essentially happened. We'll use Carowinds as an example, right? Carowinds had to basically retheme everything on the fly.
Yeah.
And did anyone stop going to Carowinds? No, because you go to like a Universal style or a Disney style theme park for the immersion. You go to Six Flags or Carowinds because you want to ride roller coasters all day.
True. Fair
so
enough.
It doesn't matter if it's Batman the Ride or if it's I don't know, if you want to leave it colored black, like you call it the Midnight Express. It's not going to make a difference, right?
Okay.
Because you're basically going to these, you're going to these properties just to ride rides for a day. Whereas like you're making a full-fledged animatronic all over the place experience at these Universal theme parks.
Okay. So you've got the Hulk is going to become a Batman coaster in your list here. You've got Dr. Doom becomes the Riddler, which sure.
So Dr. Doom's kind of just up in the air just because it's like,
haha, see what you did there.
Oh, I didn't even realize I did that there. I mean, you can really theme Dr. Doom after whatever you want. I mean, you could do the storm. I mean, frankly, you don't really even need the storm teacups anymore. Whatever.
Okay. The Storm Force Salatron.
It's not great.
They're teacups.
I think you can agree on that. It's not great.
I agree.
So like you could turn that into like a, some sort of attraction. I'm not really focused on it that much, but Dr. Doom can essentially just be some sort of like Arkham Asylum type. Actually, no, it can't, because Spider-Man is now going to be a Joker-themed Arkham Asylum ride.
Yes. Okay.
Featuring villains such as Harley Quinn, the Joker, Bane, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, like all the classic Batman villains, and you're going to make it like you're essentially going to turn up the intensity on Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like I think that would land so well with the older demographic, and basically you have to think about it in terms of 12-year-olds aren't spending the $300 it takes to get into an Islands of Adventure theme park. It's going to be adults.
Okay.
And like the video game franchise alone has been massively successful. So it's like if you include like this really dark, ominous tone into this superhero island where you can do meet and greets with like a movie quality Joker, where you can do meet and greets with a movie quality Batman, with the Justice League, like that type of thing.
All right.
Like now you're getting into like, oh wow, this feels fresh. This feels like rejuvenated.
All right. And so you're I see this, and I'm going to keep going just for the interest of time. If we've still got people listening, I appreciate you. Thanks for listening. But
Yeah, they're probably just like, all right, how much further off the rails is this getting? But go on.
that's the way it
We'll
goes.
speed it up.
No, it's okay. So you're getting rid of Toon Lagoon,
Getting rid
and
of Toon Lagoon. I am 100% getting rid of Toon Lagoon. Um, I think I think it's kind of unfair for me to get rid of Toon Lagoon, but a big portion of Toon Lagoon, not the rides per se, but a big portion of Toon Lagoon is newspaper cartoons. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think those exist anymore.
they do, just not.
But like
Nobody knows who Kathy is. Nobody knows who.
nobody knows who Kathy is. Nobody knows who Marmaduke is anymore. Unfortunately, even though they just redid that movie or whatever. Dilbert, nobody knows who Dilbert is anymore. Like nobody's reading newspaper cartoons. Kids nowadays are not reading newspaper cartoons, right?
Yeah.
So you're essentially taking Toon Lagoon and you're just going to extend Superhero Landing from a Gotham style area to now you're extending Superhero Landing, right? You're getting into your Justice League type stuff. You're getting into the Flash, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, um, you know, you're putting this massive emphasis on Superman. Like you're tearing down that big empty theater that's been sitting vacant for years and years and years and years, and you're actually putting attractions back there, like maybe another Superman roller coaster, maybe a Suicide Squad ride. Like you're putting flat rides where where Popeye should be.
Yeah.
You're filling that space in, and then you're changing Dudley Do Right to like an Aquaman style, like less goofy, more serious themed ride,
Okay.
right?
Like that.
And so
What if we got a clone
now,
of the DC Rivals hypercoaster at the Warner Brothers Park in Australia that's got the back row that faces backwards?
yeah, see, now you're opening it up to like things like that, like where you're giving people more bang for their buck in terms of like, all right, we're going to Islands of Adventure. We're gonna like, you're gonna, well, the downside of it is like if you're doing things like that, you're now going to lose revenue on terms of your park hopper type stuff
Yep.
because you're gonna have to experience Islands of Adventure like in a full day. Like you're not gonna hop back and forth like you and I do.
I mean, people will, but the average
Yeah,
vacationer maybe not.
and by people you mean you.
Anyway,
Um,
continue.
so we're doing a big, massive superhero landing type
Yeah,
area.
taking
Okay?
up all of Marvel Superhero Island and Toon Lagoon.
Yeah, I mean
Is
going
now
full bore on the
is now DC Universe or whatever they're going to call it.
correct,
Okay.
correct. Yes.
Then you
So
get over to the get over to Skull Island.
Skull Island's gone because it's moved over to
Yes.
San Francisco and Universal Studios, right? So Skull Island could essentially become a major Jurassic Park show experience walkthrough, similar to like the theme park element from the movie, right? You
Yeah.
can have like a Indominus Rex animatronic like they have in the river ride, right? They changed that, and now you have like you can have the things that you see like in theaters all over the country, how they have like those big dinosaur like actually walking like costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can do stuff like that and make it like a giant show if you
Yeah.
really want to,
You do that,
or
and
like
then,
air quotes zoo. Like
or
you
or
can do
the balls, the Jurassic World like glass spherical.
yeah, you could do something like that. You could do like just an interactive ride in the Jurassic World area, right?
Yeah.
So Jurassic World is untouched, right? You need that dinosaur piece. You need that little playground. You could probably revamp Petrodon Flyers into what's that roller coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa that kind of like whirls around?
Cheetah Hunt? Not Cheetah Hunt.
No, it's the one with the free
Cobra's Curse.
Cobra's Curse. You could probably do like a dinosaur themed coaster like that, right? Petrodon Flyers is what it is, but it's made for children. I'm not going to kill it because you need the children element in your theme parks. That's
Pterodon Flyers. The P is silent, but continue.
Whatever. Anyway, you know that I
And,
can't
and
read.
you're keeping Velocicoaster because it is perfection.
Yeah, Velocicoaster stays. The River Adventure stays. Like I and just totally side note, I think River Adventure is all like I'm not a big fan of massive water drop rides. I think River Adventure might be one of the most perfectly made theme park rides experience wise of all time.
It's a hot take.
Like
We
full immersion, like the animatronics are great. Like their new revamp where you're going through the little tank at the beginning and you have the
that
mosasaur. Like
that's in Hollywood, but go on.
no, they have that in Universal in Florida too.
Do they? I don't know.
Yeah, you and I wrote it.
Oh yeah. I don't think we did.
So anyway, you're going continuously in clockwise, right? Harry Potter stays. You don't touch Harry Potter, right? So now you're
What about the flying unicorn?
maybe that's where you put the Cobra's Curse type roller coaster.
Okay.
Like you do some sort of like yeah.
It's a plussed up family coaster, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And this I missed a bullet point earlier in the Universal Studios one, but you're like where they put the Fear Factor Theater, you're bringing back Dueling Dragons.
Okay.
You're bringing back Dueling Dragons and putting it back there in that corner.
Okay.
All right, so we're going full bore on Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter doesn't stay, or Harry Potter stays.
Okay.
Um,
Get to Lost Continent.
okay, so we're getting to the Lost Continent, right? Lost Continent now becomes similar to what Hollywood Studios has in their animation area.
Okay.
Lost Continent now becomes
Like a
a
Universal
celebration of the Universal properties of a past generation and how so you essentially extend it into like the backlot area, right? You incorporate the Dave School
What is the
as
Dave
an
School?
attraction. The Dave School is a digital art. Hold on, it stands for something.
Digital art video editing.
Yeah. Or it's like animation video editing.
Okay.
And it's in between Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure.
Okay.
Digital animation and visual effects school.
Okay.
Right? So now you're doing an area where you're looking back on the history of everything Universal Studios and Warner Brothers, right? You're doing the Looney Tunes animation thing. You're doing the shout out to the Jaws. You're moving your props that you got rid of in Universal Studios and giving it their own land. You're basically revamping the horror movie makeup show, and you're putting that there. It's essentially like a little chill spot because that's basically what the Lost Continent is right now.
Oh yeah, there are no attractions in the Lost Continent. You've got the Poseidon's Fury, which I believe is now closed, and you've got the Eighth Voyage of Sinbad Theater that again has been sitting vacant since before COVID.
Exactly, and like you may disagree with me, but it wasn't great. But like Poseidon's Fury was enjoyable. Like moving room to room, feeling like you're in like this whole thing. There's a lot of possibilities that you could do with that space.
True.
To do like a similar attraction to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Lost Continent now turns into your like Universal Studios time capsule, if you will.
Yep.
Right, and you can keep the restaurant, the very famous theme park restaurant that's right there that I never remember the name of.
Mythos.
And you can just theme it as like a Universal Studios Hollywood Cafe, something like that. Keep the food, keep everything, keep the atmosphere, all that stuff. Keep it there. Now we get to Seuss Landing. This may make a lot of your listeners very happy because it's something that I have wanted in theme parks for a very long time.
Okay.
We're going Pokemon Land.
Okay.
We are making a full-on immersive Pokemon theme park land.
Okay.
We are taking also holiday wise in this before we move on to the Pokemon Land. Universal History Land, that's where you move the Grinch during the holidays. You don't get rid of him. You just
No,
move the Grinch over there, give him his own space.
he's too viral.
It is what it is.
What
You
is
know?
up, my guy?
Yeah. So Pokemon Land, right? You're putting all your effort into this Pokemon Land, right? You're doing full on animatronics. You're changing sky the sky trolley
Yep.
or whatever. You're changing that into a Pokemon Snap style attraction. So you're hiding animatronics all over Pokemon Land, right? And you have a camera, like a Men in Black style camera, and you're taking pictures. And there's over 1,000 Pokemon now, so you can literally hide like Pokemon all over the place. So each time, just like when you were playing Pokemon Snap, each time you're playing or each time you're riding the ride, you're gonna notice something different.
Yeah.
You're gonna catch a different angle for something, and it's gonna be a first of its kind, like different angles give you different points and so on and so forth. And there's certain ways that or certain sensors where you can catch certain things and all that other stuff. I think that's you would pop for that.
I would love that. Yeah, that's good.
Um
So you got Cat in the
and
Hat, you got the Carousel, which I'm assuming you're just going to ride a bunch of different Pokemon. Like you put
absolutely.
Lapras
Absolutely.
and Gyarados.
Yeah, I mean, like you could do the one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish with water Pokemon. You could do the Carousel with Arcanine, like just like they do in the games. Like you can ride Pokemon in the games now.
Oh,
Like in like the whatever they did on the Switch. Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I never played them, but like there were ride Pokemon in
yeah.
that game, so
Okay.
like you could get on the backs of those. And then Cat in the Hat. It's hard to say kind of what you would do in the Cat in the Hat ride.
You just turn into some sort of Pokemon adventure.
Exactly.
I mean, you tell that story of like Ash getting his Pikachu, or the beginning of like the Game Boy games. Again, my knowledge of Pokemon.
Ash isn't a character anymore, so that'd be hard to do. But it would be like I get what you could do it like Celebi's Adventure or Mew's Adventure or something like that, where like it's like it's just taking you around the world of Pokemon or like something like that, right?
Okay.
And then you could make hundreds of millions of dollars. Like think of the Pokemon Go like engagement. Think of the merchandise you could sell. Like think of how many people from international countries would fly over and go to this place. Like it's a no-brainer.
Okay.
It's an absolute no-brainer. Right? So now the question being, and I'll try to make this as short as possible. I'm not going to go into every single Disney theme park, but we are going to touch on Epcot. Right? Because we've done Universal. We're done with Universal. Universal's taken care of. In my new image, I feel like it would be a much more successful avenue, right?
Okay.
So let's go to Epcot. Because I think, and you can disagree with me if you want, because you are way more into this than that. I think if you were going to blow up and change one of the, like, completely gut one of the theme parks at Disney World, it would be Epcot.
Yeah, they thought they were going to do that, and then they stopped.
So I have some ideas for them, right? So Disney now has full control of the Marvel contract. Okay?
Yes.
We're taking Mission Space out, and we are 100% building around the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster, and you are making a Marvel landing, superhero themed, massive Marvel studio
Avengers Campus.
Correct. Adventures Campus on steroids. Like you're taking Test Track and you're turning it into Stark Enterprises. You're making an Iron Man Tony Stark type ride, going through all of his tech and putting on an Iron Man suit and things like that, right? You're getting rid of Mission Space. Just bye-bye. gone, right? So I'm thinking that you do an Avengers style Rise of the Resistance ride
Okay.
at Epcot. You take out Mission Space, you use all that space behind it, and you do a full immersion Infinity War in game, like captured by Thanos, fighting Thanos, finding the Infinity Stones, like big, never before seen ride at Epcot. Okay. This was the one that I was kind of that really made me like smile when I thought of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Spaceship Earth.
Oh God.
You are retheming Spaceship Earth to History with Deadpool. And instead of Judi Dench doing the announcing, it's Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool going through history.
What level of language is Ryan Reynolds going to be allowed to use? Is this going to be like PG-13 Spaceship Earth?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. No
Uh,
cursing. No cursing, but you let Deadpool take you through history. And you basically build a Deadpool animatronic and incorporate him into every scene. Like a goofy Deadpool animatronic, you incorporate him into every scene in Spaceship Earth.
okay. So like the kid who is like everybody thinks is Bill Gates becomes Deadpool, and the guy on the printing press is Deadpool, and then you have like Kidpool who's like extra extra, read all about it.
Well, no, you could still have those animatronics, but you could just have Deadpool in that scene.
Okay,
I think that would be hilarious.
fair enough.
All
Okay,
right. So now you're taking the World Showcase and you are replacing Downtown Disney. You
wait,
are
what,
moving the
what,
World Showcase.
what downtown Disney like the which is now
Yeah,
Disney Springs, the shopping district?
correct. You are taking everything in terms of cocktails. You're basically making Disney Springs its own attraction.
Okay,
And if
so,
you want to drink around the world, you go to Disney Springs
okay,
because you are taking all of Epcot and you are capitalizing on all of the Pixar projects they have not done anything with. So Mexico turns into a Coco themed land with a Coco themed ride.
okay.
Norway becomes heavy on Frozen. You add in another Frozen attraction.
It's Disney
Um,
animation, not Pixar, but continue.
Whatever. That's what I meant. A Disney animation land, right?
Okay,
So China now becomes Big Hero 6 and Red, that Red Panda land,
yeah,
or that Red Panda movie they made, right?
yeah,
You do like a Big Hero 6 ride, you do a Red ride, which would be sick. You can't
yeah.
deny that it would be sick. Germany and America Pavilion now becomes Incredible Land, and you bring the Incredicoaster over to Epcot from
Okay,
Disneyland.
okay.
Okay. Um, and you build it into either the back lot or you build it into the lake,
Okay.
right? So you have the Incredicoaster now at Disney World,
Okay.
right? They're doing the car stuff at Disney World that they had at Disneyland, right?
It's
They're
different, but
doing.
go ahead.
I get it, but you don't have to have it like the same exact thing. But like you have the Incredibles land is now Germany and France. Okay,
Okay.
Japan and Morocco merge into France,
Oh,
and you
okay.
go heavy on the Ratatouille.
So you just do another Ratatouille attraction?
I'm thinking more along the lines of like, and I know that Disney is vehemently against this, but like fair games. You do French style cafes. You do a show maybe, um,
What are you doing?
like
You
a
talking
like
like
a full.
you talking like a baguette toss? Like you got to throw the baguette through a hole?
Yeah, like whack a rat, like
Oh gosh.
baguette toss, that type of thing. You make it a good experience area or whatever.
Okay.
Okay. Now the UK pavilion goes away completely. There's nothing in it. that you're getting rid of.
Oh, there's a
So,
bar.
okay, there's a bar. You're getting rid of a bar. Go to Disney Springs, also known now as World Showcase. And you are completely merging that land with where Living with the Land is,
Okay.
Soarin' is, and you are creating Moana and Nemo's land of conservation and growth.
Okay. What are you doing with the Canada Pavilion?
Again, that's all part of the same thing. UK and Canada both don't
Okay.
have an attraction, so they both go away completely.
Justice for the Circle Vision film starring Martin Short.
Oh, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so like you're creating this giant Moana and Nemo's land of growth and conservation.
Okay.
And the land stays put.
Cool. All right, I sign off on this officially.
I mean, now granted, you can't ride the land after having a margarita in Mexico.
That's a good
But
point.
the land stays put.
Okay.
And Soarin' now becomes a Moana style like battle versus Tefiti type ride.
Cool.
Or the Voyagers or something. Like the Journey of the Voyagers.
Are you keeping the Moana water walkthrough?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's there and it's Moana. So
right.
Why would I tear it down just to build more Moana?
Well, you tore a bunch of...
I would also really like to see like a Moana dark ride. I think would be super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So like instead of having Soarin', like give the land, give Living with the Land just a full on explosion, right? Make it bigger.
Cool.
Take me through more garden centers. Take me through more fish tanks.
Take me through a Lowe's. Like
make the land. This is what Epcot should have done in the original. Is Ellen's Journey Through Time should be the land. Like the land should be a 45-minute attraction that, but unlike Ellen's Journey Through Time, it never breaks down.
Hey, like that.
You'd be all over that. Don't even deny it.
Big fan. Between that and History with Deadpool, I think those are two very funny ideas.
That's what I'm saying, man. You like the History with Deadpool one. I know you do.
I do. That's a pretty good idea. But yeah, so I think, have we reached the end of everything here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't get to go into all the other theme parks. I have a couple very controversial ideas with the other theme parks.
That may be another topic for another day.
Yeah, I mean, we could do John Saves Disney if you want.
We could, but right now we have effectively blue skied 3 Orlando theme parks, and
we've drained the swamp big time.
Clearly. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, anyway, JT, we'll have you back on the podcast to do more.
John Saves Disney.
Maybe John Saves Disney. Maybe
John Saves Six Flags.
John
Saves Dinosaur Canyon. Ooh, we're moving Dinosaur Canyon over to Jurassic World.
Ooh, Dinosaur Canyon. For those who don't know, we actually have an article on the site as of a couple weeks ago. One-off coaster credits in the Carolinas. Dinosaur Canyon is JT's least favorite roller coaster because I made him ride it with me one December, and he was like, "Why do you do this hobby?"
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Google Dinosaur Canyon at Deadwood.
Here's my favorite part about this, and then we're going to wrap this episode up. I looked on Deadwood's website when writing the article about the one-off coaster credits in the Carolinas. That coaster has been closed for refurbishment since 2021. Do you know when it's scheduled to reopen? Knowing what you know about this coaster, do you know when it is scheduled to reopen? 2027. It is January 2025. I could build that coaster myself in 2 years, I feel like, with no engineering background or anything.
Maybe it just should stay closed. Did
Well, then-
we break it?
No, we didn't break it.
I think we broke it.
No, we didn't. We absolutely didn't.
Oh, you're right. It was probably the ride operator that had to pull the car onto the track with his bare hands.
Anyway.
Ugh. But yeah, we're moving Dinosaur Canyon to Universal Studios.
All right. Now the Brants and the tequila fueled Blue Sky Part 2. That'll take place later this year, maybe. Depends on how many people listen to this episode.
Well, don't tell them that I'm tequila fueled now. I'm completely sober.
Well, you mentioned there were some holiday beverages that fueled your 35 bullet point Blue Sky list, though.
It was last week, man.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, all right. JT, would you like the listeners to follow you on social media? Do you want to plug anything before I wrap this up?
Not particularly. I mean, my TikToks are kind of funny, but I'm not like TikTok famous or anything.
Good one. Go one.
I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Coaster101.com, for always sponsoring my shenanigans.
We don't sponsor you.
You do.
I gave you
we talked about this.
I gave you a shirt one time.
Yeah, and it blew up into something massive.
Fair enough. All right. Well, if you want JT's TikTok, you just search JT Stillwell, STILWELL. Cool. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Coaster 101 podcast. After you follow JT on social media, which he doesn't want you to, so don't. You can follow Coaster 101 where anywhere you get social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, because I'm not calling it X, Blue Sky, YouTube. There's other social media out there. We're probably on it. So we're trying to get better at it. Also have a website, so go check that out, coaster101.com. Head to c101.co/tpublic for the latest, greatest Coaster 101 and theme park expired merch. If you're listening, make sure you're liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, and telling your friends to listen. The more people who listen, we will continue to get great guests or average guests like JT. But you know what? Hey, you're following up Broadway actor Nick Walker, who played Aaron Burr in Hamilton. Like, there's Hamilton there's Aaron Burr who literally shot Hamilton, and then there's JT who's like, hey, my idea for Universal is to bring in a bunch of Warner Brothers stuff.
The more you talk, the less good I feel. So,
JT, I appreciate you jumping on. We'll have you back on another time very soon. But that's
appreciated you having me on until you just broke my heart.
Well, that's what brothers do.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We will talk to you again soon. See ya.